When most players say Sidney Crosby is the best at puck protection, you can never teach what he does. I hear instead, I don't actually want to learn what he does. Or I don't potentially have the resources in front of me to learn what he does. Let me fix that for you. The way that Crosby protects the puck is actually not by strength, but it is by mechanics. Crosby is strong, but he is not the strongest in the NHL on all measures of strength specifically. Yes, proportionally his legs are stronger, but explain to me then why a Tom Platz would not be able to puck protect like Crosby. Same guy with big legs. Yes, one did not play hockey and one is playing hockey, but is that the correlation we're looking for? No, it's not the legs. Look, I love Tom Platz and what he does, what he has done. We're talking about something different.
Failure has been achieved, thank God.
If I had to guess, Crosby has gotten more reps along the boards versus any player in history. A few drills that you can practice this yourself are punch turns against the boards, 10 and 2s against the boards, corkscrew or a stutter along the wall. Those are going to be your base mechanics that you need against the boards. Those are also going to help you spin off checks, whether they're against the boards or in the middle of the ice. They will allow you to escape pins so that you're never stuck along the boards and you can slip away from defenders. And it's actually much simpler to learn than what many have implied. Yes, Crosby is the best in the world at what he does. But if you want to actually learn it, this is what you need to do. So, Crosby puck protection against the wall. This is an area that I noticed I was struggling with in my first beer league games of the year. I ended up doing a lot more reps of this, and I'm still doing it to this day because I like the work that's being done here. And I've gotten a lot more comfortable handling the puck against the boards and also accepting contact and generally speaking, making better plays, seeing the ice a lot better. I would hope I speak for a lot of other players too, where there's an innate fear when you're against the boards that you're going to be like slammed into it and like your head's going to be a vulnerable area and whatnot. You don't want to take big hits and everything like that. Well, here's the thing. You learn this in martial arts, not that I've done that myself, but you learn to exploit the opponent's momentum against them. That is the way that you accept contact and don't get blown up by these massive hits that you've never seen, or have you rarely seen Crosby get hit like big time and then he's like flat on the ground and whatnot. The only times that you have seen that are from the concussion injuries. But outside of that, it's very rare that something like that happens. He doesn't, first off, yes, he doesn't leave himself into those open spots. But secondly, he has the mechanics to absorb the contact. He also has the awareness to absorb the contact too. One of his better mechanics is that mohawk, and like I'm sure many coaches would reference to him when they talk about the mohawk, and it's like, oh, watch Crosby doing it a lot, and then it's appeared a lot more elsewhere. Like maybe he had an influence on that, maybe not. Maybe it's like generally speaking figure skaters, but the point being is that the correlation is that Crosby entered the league, and then everyone saw him doing these mohawk 10 and 2 whatnots, and then more and more people started doing them themselves, and now more players are doing it than ever. Thanks to, I'll just say it, thanks to Crosby, even if it's not him. Regardless of that point, there's a very cool thing that happens with the 10 and 2, and I want to expand into that. I've talked about this before in the full details of the 10 and 2. One thing that's going to be very specific here, because yes, you have the pass reception element, you have the shooting element out of it, you have the regressions and progressions, you have the fake passes and whatnot. This 10 and 2 is... Here's where it shines the most. This is the mechanic that you need to spin off any type of pin against the wall. It is your primary method of that. Yes, there's other ways to do that, but considering the momentum created from the rotation and circular momentum of the 10 and 2, because it does put you into a circle. There's no doubt about that. It does put you into these arcs. The 10 and 2 is the clearest example of any mechanic that where you do see the specific circle or arc that happens with it. When you're against the wall, you don't have the amount of space on the wall that you do in the open ice. That doesn't mean that arcing or that circle created by that 10 and 2 does not exist against the wall. It definitely does. It's just way smaller. So you need to use that mechanic as the spin. That is how Crosby evades pins all the time against the wall. That is why he is so hard to take off the puck. That is why he is so good protection. It's one mechanic that he's mastered in a different area as opposed to what's being taught out there. If I was taught something like this I would have been much more comfortable against the wall much earlier on, and I would have been a much better player than I had been. I look again, I'm not afraid to admit that I was bad, and then that's kind of the reason why I'm here is like I acknowledge that I was bad at one point. I know that if I had access to this knowledge that I'm giving out now, I would have been a hell of a lot better. That's the whole point of putting this out. And I certainly would have been much more comfortable against the walls, just like Crosby has been doing for 20 years to this point. So that's really where something like this shines up. Yes, you have seen him do other stuff like the punch turn and just the spins off the wall. Those are going to be your primary two methods for changing directions against the boards. And yes, you can use other fakes like a scooter, which really is just a 10-2 and an outside edge roll. Shuffles are also good for puck protection, but they're mostly used in the middle of the ice, and this is kind of more for boards work. What I like about the corkscrews and the stutters is that they allow you to stay in a wide stance, which is going to help you fend off checks, but also keep your base stable. And when you're stable and balanced, you're able to make plays because your body's focused less on keeping you balanced and keeping you upright and more focused on the thing that's coming up next. Because you're in that tripod stance, it is much harder to check on either side of your legs to get to the puck. So they're kind of like wider puck protection objects that make it harder. Yes, you get a cheap shot, smart ass player like cup checking you in that case. I'll say it. That would first off be a penalty. Ideally, that would also be the only way for them to get the puck. So if you're really worried about cup checks, I would say you don't have to because they don't happen that often, and that would mean the game has gotten out of hand. So generally speaking, the corkscrew will still work for the puck protection areas. What else? I went over punch turn. I think I could expand off that a little bit more, but really that's just the change of direction in both cases. I should talk about passing it off the boards. So when you're collecting it off the wall in either the punch turn or the 10-2, you don't want to like fly it off the wall. There is a specific timing element to it. If you treat the puck as kind of like a soccer ball where you have to keep tapping it forward and backward, and it's not tied to your stick, it's not glued to your stick all the time, that will help you to maintain it where it's like you tap it then collect it, tap it then collect. The same mechanics that is used when you're going at top speed like McDavid is what you use against the wall when you're protecting the puck like Crosby. How cool is that? So for a little bit more detail on that, go check out and how the actual physics of the puck work. Go check out the David how he gets to top speed video. Again, specifically, it's talking about you tap the puck forward to control it. That's how you control you need puck control to get puck protection. You can't have one without the other. If you can't control the puck, you can't protect. So when you're timing the passes, you want to keep that in mind. Now, there could easily be some other subtle nuances, like you use the reflection in the glass to watch for your opponent behind you. There's also another nuance of keeping your head at your shoulder as opposed to keeping your head up. That way you can see both the puck and the middle of the ice, and you don't have to like swing your head side to side all the time like an owl. Crosby doesn't look around like a fucking owl. Looks around like a normal player, but he has his head down all the time. I don't know what people like and some coaches talk about when it's like, oh, Crosby has his head up. No, he doesn't. This guy's like the most compact player of all time for his specific production and whatnot and ability for hockey, but he has his head down. But it's not like tilting down like you're trying to slam your head into the wall. No, it's just tilted down slightly. That way he has the option to move his eyes like around. It's not looking up like an owl. Like I don't know what else to call it. Like he's not looking up like an owl. We'll keep that as an analogy. And no good player looks up like an owl. Anyway, that's another nuance. That will help you see the middle of the ice a little bit better. I've been practicing that, but all this behind the scenes, don't have footage of it, like specifically. And actually, the day I recorded all this footage, speaking of that, I'm again recording this behind the scenes because my mic wasn't working, but I actually kind of like these voiceovers in a way. By the way, I haven't recorded the specific footage for all this. It's kind of just a bunch of behind the scenes work. But again, it showed up in games. The before and after of being comfortable versus not being comfortable prior. I can feel it. I can definitely feel it in games. and it's helped me to make better plays, especially against the wall, and not fearing turning it over and whatnot. And what's cool about the league that I'm in is that it's a contact beer league, so I'm able to practice, accepting hits and whatnot. So if people want to see me get blown up, I'm just telling you I'm in the right league, and you may get your wish. Although I think 20,000 people at this point would disagree with that notion. Anyway, before I ramble on, that is Crosby's puck protection secrets. If you actually want to learn them, this is the way to learn them. Hope that made a lot of sense. And for details on working with me and the rest of my services, from standard school, one-on-one coaching, HEG hockey, Train 2.0, that will all be in the card at the end and the description below. Thanks for watching today's Hockey Hacks. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to share it with someone who you think could benefit from this. Also check out the standard school, which is the link below, which details out every standard from skating, shooting, stick handling, strength, speed, etc., and then player-specific standards like what McDavid can do, McKinnon, etc., giving you the direction you need for your hockey training. We also have HG for hockey. On the HG app, you can get half off your first month by clicking the link in the description. And if you would like to apply for one-on-one coaching with me directly, which would be the best alternative to seeing me in person, you can do that as well. If you would like to see me in person for hockey training, I currently work out of HKY House in Waterford, Michigan. And if you would like in-person gym training or shooting training, I have a place for that in Westland, Michigan. Thanks again for watching, and please let me know if you have any questions.